Good morning. So today we are going to give you a comprehensive overview of the Legislative Auditor's Office. So by the end of this session, you will understand the work that we do here at LLA and the very critical role that all of you play in helping us accomplish our mission. So we're going to start out with LLA's mission, but what I really want y'all to see today is that we are all functioning in one big assembly line, okay? And LLA's mission is truly the objective of that assembly line. So we're going to dissect the mission, and then we're going to take a look at what is your role in the mission. What are these specific tasks that you need to be performing in order to keep this assembly line moving forward? Then we'll take a look at LLA's role in the mission. What are these specific tasks that LLA is performing to keep this assembly line moving forward? Then we'll take a look at LLA's supportive roles. What are these specific resources that we have available to help you accomplish your role in the mission? And then in the second half of the session, Lizzie is going to take a look at the branding and recruiting strategies that have really elevated awareness of LLA's mission. So what is the mission? LLA's mission is to foster accountability and transparency in Louisiana government operations. We carry out this mission by delivering information. And why are we doing all of this? What is the purpose? To help ensure that government is responsive to the needs of the people of Louisiana. We are simply building public trust. So we are carrying out this mission with the objective of building public trust. Now, this is LLA's mission, but LLA is not in charge of all of Louisiana government operations. You are. It is all of you sitting in the various seats, in the various roles, across the various agencies, across the entire state of Louisiana, who actually control Louisiana government operations. Now, as the fiscal advisor of the state, the spotlight is always on LLA. But in reality, we are simply grading the papers, okay? The information belongs to you. You are in charge of Louisiana government operations. So it is not possible for LLA to accomplish its mission unless we partner with the folks who truly have the power to change and improve Louisiana government operations. And that's all of you. So here's what I want y'all to remember. LLA's mission is to foster accountability and transparency. We carry out this mission by delivering information. And all of you are the owners of that information. So what is the objective of our assembly line? The objective is to build public trust. So we are moving information throughout this assembly line with the objective of building public trust. Everything else we talk about for the rest of this session is going to be all about how do we move this information timely and consistently and build public trust along the way. So what is your role in the mission? What are these specific tasks that you are performing in order to keep this assembly line moving forward? You have 3 tasks: to submit reports and financial information timely, to resolve audit findings promptly, and to track your progress. Task number 1, to submit reports and financial information timely. Timely submission of reports and financial information reflect your agency's dedication to accountability and professionalism. When you submit your reports on time, this shows that you are holding yourselves accountable for doing what you are supposed to do when you are supposed to do it. However, according to LLA's annual report, hundreds of reports were not submitted by the statutorily required deadline, and 98% of the related extensions were for non-emergency reasons. So what does this mean? Why does it matter? It means that we are not doing what we are supposed to do when we are supposed to do it. And why does it matter? What's the big deal? The objective of our assembly line is to build public trust. So how do you build trust? In your day-to-day, everyday life as humans, how do we build trust? We build trust by doing what we are supposed to do when we are supposed to do it. If I take my car to ABC Auto and they tell me the repairs are going to take 1 day, but I don't actually get my car back until a week later, you think ABC Auto lost a little bit of trust with me? Yep. Now, when I got my car back, repairs were done fine. I had no issues. Does that make up the difference? Absolutely not. ABC Auto did not do what they were supposed to do when they were supposed to do it, and because of that, I no longer have trust in whatever it is that's happening over there at ABC Auto. It works the same way in government. One more thing I want you to remember about extensions. They are the exception. They are not the rule. So if your audit report is late and you have an extension request approved for a non-emergency reason, you still receive an audit finding. And that is because you have not met the standard. The standard is to submit your audit reports by the statutorily required deadline. So when we receive audit findings, are we building public trust or are we losing public trust? We are losing public trust. So our objective is to build public trust. Therefore, we are going to get our audit reports submitted on time, and we are going to avoid submitting extensions. So what are some other reasons why we may want to avoid submitting extensions? It allows us to lead by example. Avoiding extensions sets the standard for excellence within your agency. You set the tone at the top that it is important to do what we are supposed to do when we are supposed to do it. It demonstrates commitment. Timely reporting underscores your agency's dedication to transparency and reliability. If I go to government agency A and I ask for information that should be available, and they tell me, we don't have that, come back in 2 weeks. Do I believe that this agency is transparent? Do I believe that this agency is reliable? Probably not. But if I go to government agency B and I ask for information that should be readily available, and they give it to me immediately, do I believe that this agency is transparent? Do I believe that this agency is reliable? Yeah, I probably do. Now, I know nothing about either one. I know nothing about agency A or agency B, but simply the ability to deliver information timely changes what people believe about your agency. Supports efficiency. Avoiding extensions helps maintain workflow and build trust with stakeholders. Again, we are all functioning in one big assembly line. So when you get your audit report submitted on time, the information moves through the system as it should, and the folks who need it receive the information timely. When you make meeting deadlines a priority, it showcases your commitment and sets a benchmark for employees and other team members to follow. You simply go from do as I say to follow my lead, and that is a huge shift within your agency. So task number 2 is to resolve audit findings promptly. LLA's annual report shows that we reviewed and processed over 4,000 reports, and those reports contained hundreds of findings. Now, what did we just say about findings? What are findings doing to public trust? Are we building public trust when we receive audit findings? Or are we losing public trust when we receive audit findings? We are losing public trust. Now, we cannot avoid audit findings. It's going to happen, okay? But what we can do is resolve the audit findings promptly and avoid repeat audit findings. When we do those two things, we move the assembly line in the right direction and we build public trust, and that is the objective. So we're going to run through a list of the common types of findings that we are seeing within your audit reports. Misappropriations and ethics violations, non-compliance with federal regulations in the administration of federal programs, non-compliance with bond covenants or loan agreements, non-compliance with state laws covering budgets, public bids, open meetings, untimely deposits, and late filings of financial statements, lack of reconciliation of bank and other accounts, errors in accounting records, and deficient fund balances. Now, the purpose of this CPE conference is to give you all of the tools that you need to resolve all of these audit findings. But here's the thing. The information belongs to you. You are in charge of Louisiana government operations. So we can give you the training and we can give you the tools, but this is the point in the assembly line where we need you to partner with us. You must take this information back to your agencies and resolve your audit findings. The objective of everything we do as government employees is simply to build public trust, and we build public trust by resolving audit findings. The last step for you guys is to track your progress. Step 1 in tracking your progress is to assign accountability and ownership. Clearly assign a responsible individual or team to each finding to ensure accountability. You want to make sure that each finding is assigned to a person who is responsible for finding a solution. Make sure that person has clear performance expectations. You want to make sure they know how to resolve the audit finding and when the work is due. And of course, you want to create a culture of ownership by recognizing those individuals as they successfully resolve the findings. Step 2 in tracking your progress is to implement regular status reviews. You simply want to follow up. Schedule periodic progress meetings to review the status of the findings and deadlines that you just assigned in step 1. Go ahead and get your first 2 or 3 meetings on the calendar, because what these meetings do is they help to hold everybody accountable. It's very easy for things to slip through the cracks and end up on the back burners. So what these meetings do is they help to keep the findings in the front of your mind. Use these meetings to discuss any roadblocks or resources needed and make adjustments as the team needs. And then you also want to update your leadership on any unresolved issues. Now we're going to talk about LLA's role in the mission. What are these specific tasks that LLA is performing in order to keep this assembly line moving forward? LLA also has 3 tasks: to collect financial information, to evaluate financial information, and to report the results. Task number 1, to collect financial information. Louisiana's Constitution gives LLA the authority to serve as the fiscal advisor. Now, the role of fiscal advisor comes with a laundry list of responsibilities, and in order to carry out those responsibilities, we need information from all of you. So the revised statutes, Title 24, gives LLA the power to collect that information from the state treasurer, all public boards, commissions, agencies, departments, and political subdivisions of the state, public officials and employees, public retirement systems, municipalities, and all other public or quasi-public agencies or bodies. Task number 2 for LLA is to evaluate financial information. After we collect all that information from you in step 1, we evaluate that information to assess accountability, legal compliance, and operational effectiveness. LLA has about 9 different service areas that we use to complete this evaluation of your financial information, and we're just going to take a quick look at each one of those. The first one is financial audit. This group audits state agencies and universities, and they also prepare the single audit for the state. Information technology audit. This group examines the IT operations of those state agencies and universities, and they work closely with the financial auditors. Performance audit. This group evaluates the economy, efficiency, and effectiveness of state agency programs. Investigative audit. This group gathers evidence regarding fraudulent or abusive activity. This group also manages the fraud hotline. Local government services. This group enforces audit law. This is also the group that processes those 4,000 statutorily required reports, and they also serve as the fiscal advisors. Recovery assistance. This group ensures that federal disaster recovery funds are spent in accordance with the law. We work closely with GOSEP to evaluate all of the FEMA dollars. Economic advisory. This group provides analysis of economic and fiscal issues impacting the state. Actuarial services. This group reviews the financial conditions of Louisiana's public retirement systems. And last, we have legal services. This group provides assistance by answering questions and issuing opinions. Now we are to the last step. LLA's last step is to report the results. So LLA issues reports to share the results of our evaluations of your financial information. So we are at the last step in our theoretical assembly line. You have submitted all of your information to LLA. We have collected all of that information. We have evaluated all of that information. And now it is time for us to share the results with the public, and we do that by issuing reports. So LLA's reports serve several key purposes, and we're just going to take a look at a few of those. The first one is accountability. LLA's reports provide independent assessments of how government agencies, entities, and programs use public resources. So we, government employees, all of us involved in this assembly line, we are taking the time to evaluate our own actions, determine if we did things right or wrong, and then share the results with the public. We are holding ourselves accountable, and that builds public trust. Number 2 is transparency. By making these reports publicly available, the LLA ensures that information is available to the public that would not otherwise be available. We are opening up the books. We are inviting the public into the process. We are being transparent, and this builds public trust. Improvement of operations. The reports often include findings and recommendations to help government entities improve their efficiency, effectiveness, and compliance with state laws and policies. LLA's reports don't just include findings. We also give you recommendations to help you resolve those findings. The objective is to help you improve operations. Better operations means better information. Next, we have legislative oversight. The LLA provides lawmakers with insights into the functioning of government programs and agencies. The legislature relies on LLA's reports to make fiscal decisions. This is another reason why it is important to get your audit reports submitted on time so that the information can reach its destination timely. And last, we have public trust. LLA's reports help to build and maintain trust in state and local governments. LLA's reports serve as the end product of our assembly line. They are the thing that the public can touch, feel, and hold on to. So public trust tends to be tied to the document. But what I want y'all to understand is that it is not the document alone that builds public trust. It is the process. It is everything that all of you do at every step along the way within this assembly line that is truly building public trust. Now, the process will never get the same level of attention as the product, but it doesn't mean that it's not important. Without the process, we do not have a product. We do not have a report. We do not have an item for the public to rely on, okay? So everything you do is important. How does LLA help? What are the resources that we have available to help you accomplish your role in the mission? We have CLGE workshops, fiscal advisors, and online resources. CLGE workshops, the CLGE offers these complimentary workshops twice a year. This is where you find the information you need to resolve your audit findings and improve your operations. Better government operations simply means better information. Next, we have fiscal advisors. Fiscal advisors are located in the local government services area, and they provide personalized financial guidance. So if you get through this entire workshop and you are still unsure about how to resolve your audit findings, fiscal advisors can provide the following services for you: guidance on resolving audit findings, assistance with implementation of best practices, financial management advice, recommendations to improve internal controls, and recommendations to improve compliance with state law. And last, we have online resources. LLA's website provides a variety of guidance on best practices, and we also include templates that you can customize and use immediately. Next, we have LLA's Reports podcast. The podcast provides insights from audit reports to help you identify and avoid common issues. So these are short videos that take audit findings that we have already issued publicly, we dissect them, and the objective is to help the listeners learn how to avoid similar pitfalls. These are great. You really need to go check them out. Next, we have the Legal Minute on YouTube. Now, these are also short videos, but they are addressing the most frequently asked ethics and legal topics. The Legal Services Department answered over 1,000 questions from all of you last year, so I know y'all got questions. Go check out the Legal Minute on YouTube as a first option. You may be able to find a quick answer to your questions. And last, we have CLGE workshop replays. These are available on YouTube and also on LLA's website. LLA is your trusted advisor. We envision an accountable, transparent, and responsive government, and together we can achieve the vision by simply working together and holding ourselves accountable for our respective roles within the mission. Thank you.
Good morning. How's everyone? That was intense, right? That was serious. So we're going to take the business hat off for just a second and talk a little bit more from an organizational development perspective. My name is Lizzie Schexnayder. I'm the Professional Development Manager with the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's Office. I make 17 years this April. I'm excited to be here. I love being here as serving in this role. In addition to what I do for professional development and CPE, which most of you are familiar with, I am also the lead recruiter leading about 30 internal recruiters for our office, which I'm going to talk to you guys about in just a little bit. And I also was given the opportunity when Mr. Wagasback first took office to be intimately involved in our branding process, our rebrand for our office. And so I wanted to talk to you today about those two things. Oftentimes in the surveys would come up, a lot of you would want to talk about recruiting and how to retain your employees. And that's something that I'm truly passionate about. And then from a branding perspective, what we've done to improve the image of our office. So we're going to talk about those two things today. And if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to ask questions. If you have questions for Victoria, we'll take those towards the end. But again, if you have any questions, just raise your hand and we'll come to you, and I'll feel free to answer anything that you want to talk about. So just over 4 years ago, Mr. Wagasback took office, and during that time, he really wanted to kind of reframe the image of the office, of the Legislative Auditor's Office. We had been known for so many years as the watchdogs of state government, which is primarily true, but it also has sort of a negative connotation. And, Mr. Wagasback didn't see us that way. And quite honestly, our employees don't see us that way. So something was interesting whenever we started this branding process. We started to interview our employees and really get a good team perspective on how they viewed their work and how they viewed our office. And some interesting words came up. They would use words like mentor or counselor or strategic partner. But this one phrase kept coming up that we thought was really interesting, and that was trusted advisor. And so with that finding, we wanted to take the next step in becoming our kind of our tagline, trusted advisor for the state of Louisiana. So in 2022, we kind of started this new rebrand process. And if you're not familiar with branding, by definition, branding is the process of creating a unique identity for a product or for a company. And so we wanted to, again, reframe how people in the state of Louisiana viewed us and how our true hearts could be portrayed to our community. In 2022, we came up with a new logo as part of our branding. So with branding, you have kind of from an aesthetic perspective and then from an image perspective or a messaging perspective. So our first step in that was developing a new logo. And I want to show you what it is. This is our old logo that had been in place for probably 20, 25 years. And then in 2022, we revealed our new logo. So it's a simple logo, but to us, there's clear representation here. And Mr. Wagasback said, when we first revealed it, he said, you know what? I like it. It looks like a bridge. And so that bridge has become symbolic of how we feel about the state, bridging state government accountability with the citizens of Louisiana. And so we're really proud of that. And of course, we had more goals in our branding project that just happened to start with a logo that I want to talk to you about today. So why did we start this project to begin with? While it all did start with a logo design, we definitely had a need within our office to rebrand, not just for our community, but also for our staff. 4 years ago, we were on the heels of COVID, and I know most of you have felt the after effects of that with your workforce. Our morale was lackluster. We were having a lot of trouble finding qualified employees that could come to work for us. And that was a true problem that I know many of you were experiencing. But we had to take a really hard look at how we were handling business at the time, how we were attracting and or not attracting qualified candidates to come to work for us, and also just the image that we were putting out to our community. So we had a few goals, and I'm going to touch base on just a few of those today. The first one, better define LLA to our community, which is what I just talked about, being viewed not as that watchdog, but as your trusted advisor. That was our number one goal. And in that, the next one was to create a unified message to our staff, which is a huge component of branding. The next one was to provide optimal resources to our community. and then to improve recruiting efforts. So I'm going to touch base on just a few of these. One thing that branding is, it's important to create this unique identity, right? And so that's what we wanted to do for our staff. And the first thing is creating a unified message. And here's why that was important to us. It means consistency. It means consistency in language and in understanding for our staff to the community. So let me give you an example of a unified message in terms of branding. Nike. Nike's slogan is what? Just do it, with the cute little swoosh, which no one really knows what the cute little swoosh means, right? But you do know when you see that swoosh that slogan is just do it. So back in the mid-'80s, Nike had to rebrand their image because they were up against some fierce competition, Reebok. And they rebranded to include this slogan, just do it. And interestingly, this slogan became so much more than just do it. It was about achievement and perseverance, and is still part of their cultural identity today. And so that's an example of united messaging, right? And so this united message makes your purpose and your mission, which Victoria just went over, it makes that recognizable to your community or to the people to which you serve. So here's some issues that we were running into, which made this really important for us. Victoria and I work in two very different sections of the office. We have two very different functions. Again, she covered with you the business of the LLA and who we are and what we do, while I'm not an auditor at all. I'm a recruiter, and I do all the really fun stuff at the auditor's office, right? But if she and I were in a room together and someone walked up to us and said, what exactly does the auditor do? Like, what exactly is the LLA? She and I would have two very different responses because we have two very different perspectives on the operations of the auditor's office. Now, we all, as employees, we know what we do, but do we really know what each other does? And the answer, quite honestly, is no. So the importance of a unified message, I like to call it a united front and or an elevator pitch. And I tell you this because if you're, responsible for branding in your company, or you're responsible for recruiting, or really just to increase your morale of your organization, having a united message is more about not just the words that you speak, but your employees feeling like they're part of the bigger picture of your organization. And so this was really important to us. And so when someone asks us now, we worked with a team of professionals to come up with our branding, and that the answer to that is we're an expert team of trusted advisors. We collectively work to improve communities and build a better Louisiana. And that's our tagline. And our motto is better information, better Louisiana. And that has not changed over the years, but it is something that we use very frequently in our social media accounts. We use it on our website. And it's part of our united message to not only our staff, but also to our community. Victoria touched on our resources earlier, but our goal number 3, which is optimizing optimal resources to our community. When Mr. Wagasback took office, quite honestly, this is what brought up the whole rebrand issue to begin with. And that was, he wanted the resources for our citizens to be resourceful, effective, efficiently delivered to you, and truthful. And we hadn't had a website revision in probably 20 or 25 years. And when he got into office, he said, when someone logs onto our website, clicks onto our website, I want them to be able to find the information that they need quickly and efficiently. And that's exactly what we did as part of our rebrand. It was important to us for a few reasons. Number 1 is credibility. It's our mission to be credible to you, the people of the state of Louisiana, and to provide useful and truthful information. So if you logged onto our website, the last 10 years, and there was something that wasn't updated, or, if it wasn't completely useful to you, then what does that say about us? And our goal was to prove credibility to you all. The second part of our goal in website in developing a new website was our branding and our rebranding, and allowing the citizens of Louisiana to get just a little piece of who we are, a little piece of our story. And then the third part of that was engagement. We wanted our community to be a part of the work that we did. And the way that historically our website ran is it was more just information on a piece of paper, but on the internet, And so our website now shows updated imagery about who we are and tells the story of who we are, and gives you the good stories and face-to-face interactions with our directors. And so while I understand that a website overhaul is a big deal and oftentimes not in your budget, and I get that. So there are many ways that you can have a good website and or use good outreach without even having a website. And I want to talk to you today about that because I know that that's a big concern. The first one is using social media, leveraging social media. Leveraging social media is, first of all, it's free, right? And the way that the auditor's office has approached social media, I can remember back in the day when social media was kind of scary. It was unpredictable, and quite honestly, it was a liability to some extent. So we developed some really good social media policies, and we also developed a social media committee. So we'd never make decisions in a bubble with one person. We always, pull from professionals within our organization to determine what's going to work best for us, and that's exactly what we did. So I just want to share with you some best practices if your organization uses social media, if you plan to use social media. Here are some kind of best practices that I wanted to talk to you about. The first one is to choose the right platform. Now, we use quite a number of social media platforms, but not every platform is going to be right for you. So, for example, Instagram is more about imagery. So if you're wanting to release a lot of pictures, Instagram would be a good platform for you to use. LinkedIn is a good professional resource, professional platform. If you're recruiting heavily, we use that in our recruitment process. And then Facebook, if you want more community engagement. And we also use that for community engagement. Facebook is a great platform for branding and for recruiting. But the one thing that I want to remind you of is when you're using social media, number one, keep it consistent with your brand. Keep your colors the same, your imagery the same as maybe your website or whatever you want to portray to your community. And also keep it professional. We have a team of people who are in charge of social media. I would never recommend just having one person in charge of media. You always want to have a backup for that. And make sure that y'all are all in alignment with what information you're going to post, how you're going to post it, and what cadence you're going to use to post in terms of how frequently you'll post. So we post about every other day, but you should absolutely establish a schedule of posting on social media, because I'll tell you, too much can be too much, and then too little can leave you dormant and people aren't going to visit your site. I want to show you some examples of just some work that we've done. When we rebranded, we also just kind of got some good resources on how to redesign some of these campaigns that we did for Facebook. We used a program called Canva, which I'm not advocating for, but it is a free program. And there are also plenty of different platforms that you can use to design different ads. But these are just some examples of our recruiting ads that we've used on social media. And what's interesting is y'all would be shocked at the capabilities, the photographic capabilities of an iPhone in really good lighting, okay? So when we have new employees, it's kind of a special treat. We take them out, and we have a beautiful view of the state capitol, but we take them out by the state capitol, with my iPhone, and I'm the professional photographer, not really at all, of the LLA, and we take them outside and we take their first day photo, or if they get certified or if they get promoted. And it's so interesting to watch. They get really excited when it gets released on social media. And I'll tell you why this is important to your brand and to recruiting. Because when we take that photo and we stick it on our Facebook page and we tag that employee in it, then they share that photo with their family, and their family shares that and tags them and comments and likes, and it becomes this beautiful social network. And therefore, your name gets out there, and people are going to your website, and they're going to your social media, and they're following you. And it is a wonderful and very free way to spread the word of what you do in your community. So our last goal, and certainly not our least goal, if you will, was to improve our recruiting efforts. We used branding to help us do this. And here's why it was important to us. Recruiting to us is about sustainability. It's about success. And it means that we're building the very best team of auditors to be able to serve you. And, our goals in recruiting were aligning with our values, increasing our visibility and awareness, enhancing our reputation, obviously, and or transforming our reputation, and then differentiating from our competitors. And so I kind of wanted to step outside of the branding box for just 1 second and move a little bit into that recruiting forum. And maybe you're not responsible for recruiting in your area, but everyone wants to work with really good people, right? So we're going to talk just a little bit about recruiting, which quite honestly is what my true passion is. And I want to share with you what we've done at the auditor's office that you can pick up in your office. And certainly we would share any resources that we have and how we've developed a pretty robust recruiting program. The LLA Ambassador Program is the first thing that I want to talk to you about today. And the LLA Ambassador Program was developed because of kind of a weakness that we had at our office. We had one recruiter, not me, one recruiter. It was not a full-time job. It quite honestly wasn't even a part-time job. We had very little budget for having a recruiter or for having someone that we could send out and really help us find good candidates. And so we sat down with our team and said, how can we do this better? How can we take the pressure off this one person and really just do this better? And the answer to that was our LLA Ambassador team, which started as about 5 or 10 of our internal staff, our auditors, transformed to now we have about 30 ambassadors that I'm incredibly proud of. It is a voluntary position. So our ambassadors take a survey every year. There's certain qualifications for that. It's voluntary, but they also have to, once they volunteer, they go into a pool of people, and they have to be handpicked and selected by their director. So the reason why we are selective in that process is because they become part of our brand. They are the absolute face of the LLA. They exemplify our values of professionalism, accountability, excellence, and integrity. And so, whenever you're looking for people to be the hands and feet of your organization, you're picking people who represent your brand well. Most importantly is they're seasoned employees, and they know exactly what we're looking for whenever we need employees. They know the qualities that person needs to have to be successful in our organization. And I'll just tell you kind of briefly what they do. They foster relationships with universities and/or professional organizations. So when we go, let's say to LSU, we usually pick an alumni of LSU to come with us, someone who has graduated within the last couple years and they still have those deep connections with alumni, with professors, maybe with students there, with the organizations. So they have ongoing, and that's what they do. They foster ongoing relationships. It's part of their job. They increase our brand recognition, so they represent our office well. They dress like like our dress code expectations serve. They proactively identify top talent. They're involved in the community. They're involved in the university procedures. They know who's coming out of school and where they're going. And then they just provide greater insights into training. No one person should be responsible for recruiting in your organization. You're doing yourself an injustice if that's the case. You have a really great team of people who really can help you do that. And I wanted to talk about recruiting if you don't have that many resources. Again, the first thing that my suggestion, these are just some pictures that we've taken over the last year. Leveraging social media for recruiting and for branding. We blast these pictures over our social media site and our website. It's been very effective in gaining momentum for followers and for people who are just interested in working with us. The biggest thing that we've done is we've knocked on all the doors and we've put our boots to the ground. And this is kind of my motto when it comes to recruiting. We have visited over 100 classrooms, career fairs, events during work hours, after hours, and that's just in one semester. So we are really putting our boots to the ground and forming these really intimate, great connections with people who can really help us, and we have a reciprocal relationship. So if recruiting is something that you're struggling with, I would say, just in my experience, find someone in your group who really knows how to make connections with people, because relationships go a very long way when it comes to recruiting. Employee referrals, that's something that we've worked on in the past. Talk to your employees about the people in your community, who they know, who might be interested in the positions that you have available. You can offer small incentives, you can offer public recognition. Part of our ambassador program is they get recognized every year at our staff meeting by the legislative auditor, and while we can't pay them, right, we can honor them for the work that they do in the organization with recruiting. And then the last one is elevate your onboarding experience. Now, this is something that we can all control. We have a team of 2 people in our HR department, and you would think that there's 10 people in our HR department, as much work as they do. But they have made it their mission to elevate our onboarding experience. When someone begins employment with our office, they make sure that from the time that they apply for that position until the time of their first day of employment and beyond, that they are experiencing what we would want to experience, training, just even a smile and a kind attitude is huge with your brand. Because I'll tell you, it's pretty easy to get people in the door, but it's quite honestly pretty difficult for them to stay there, right? So the work has to be, once they get there, it doesn't matter what you put on social media, you got to treat them well whenever they get there, and that's been a real push for us with recruiting. So here's some more pictures of us. I want to tell you, we're almost out of time, and I want to open this up for questions, obviously, but I want to leave you with this. If you have not heard anything that I've said today, or if it's irrelevant to you, I'll tell you, when it comes to branding and recruiting, your people in your organization are your greatest asset. Pick people in your organization that breathe life into your business, that are energetic about representing your organization, and that want to be there, because those are the people that make other people want to be there. And that's just my biggest suggestion to you. We have a lot of resources that we have pulled together as a team. We have a lot of resources that we would love to share with you. If there's any questions that you ever have about recruiting and or branding, we've probably answered them and or been through them all. So I want to empower you today that there are many things that you can do to make your organization better, not just for you, but for your staff and for the community to which you serve. So I want to open it up. Does anyone have any questions? Please raise your hand about branding, about recruiting, about what the auditor's office does, anything that Victoria went over. I would love to answer any questions that you have. Not all at once. What's the motto of Nike? What's the motto of the Louisiana Legislative Auditor? Better information, better Louisiana. Don't forget that, okay? Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today.